In 1994, three teenage boys stood in court, accused of murdering three 8-year-old children in a quiet Arkansas town. There was no physical evidence, no witnesses, no motive. But the town didn't care. They wanted someone to blame. And these boys, poor, quiet, and different, became the perfect targets. This is the haunting story of the West Memphis Three, a story of fear, false confessions, and how small-town hysteria destroyed three innocent lives. It began on May 5th, 1993 in West Memphis, Arkansas. Three little boys, Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers, left home to ride their bikes. They never came back. By nightfall, the town was in panic. The next day, searchers found their bodies in a muddy creek in a patch of woods called Robin Hood Hills. They had been beaten and bound. The crime was brutal, and it shocked the nation. But what followed was worse. Police were desperate. The community was angry. Reporters flooded the town. There was one message: find who did this, fast. With pressure mounting, investigators turned their attention to Damien Echols, an 18-year-old who liked heavy metal and read Stephen King novels. To them, that was enough. Soon his friends Jason Baldwin, 16, and Jesse Miskelly, 17, were pulled in. They weren't violent. They weren't criminals. They were just different. But in 1994, different could be deadly. Jesse Miskelly was taken to the police station. He had an IQ of 72, roughly the intelligence level of an 11-year-old. Police interrogated him for 12 hours straight. No lawyer, no parent, no camera. Hour after hour, they told him he'd go home if he just told the truth. Exhausted and scared, Jesse finally confessed. But his confession made no sense. He got the time of the murders wrong. He got the location wrong. He even described the boys as tied with ropes when police had found shoelaces. None of it matched. But detectives wrote the report as a full confession. When the trial began, the courtroom was already against them. Locals whispered about satanic rituals and devil worship. Rumors replaced facts. The prosecution said the murders were part of a satanic ritual. Their proof? Damien's black clothing, his interest in magic, and a few horror books found in his room. That was it. No blood, no fingerprints, no DNA, nothing. Still, the jury was convinced by fear, not evidence. When the verdict came, it stunned even the defense. Damien Echols, sentenced to death. Jason Baldwin, life in prison without parole. Jesse Miskelly, life plus 40 years. They were teenagers, convicted for their clothes, their music, and their silence. As the years went on, the world changed, but the West Memphis Three remained behind bars. Damien spent 18 years on death row, locked in a cell the size of a bathroom. Jason and Jesse endured beatings, humiliation, and years of isolation. Still, they never gave up their innocence. Filmmakers and journalists began digging deeper. The documentaries Paradise Lost and West of Memphis exposed serious flaws in the case and revealed what the police had ignored all along: DNA evidence that didn't match any of the boys. In 2007, advanced DNA testing showed something shocking. None of the DNA found at the crime scene belonged to Damien, Jason, or Jesse. One strand of hair was linked to the stepfather of one of the victims, someone who was never properly investigated. The evidence shook the case to its core. Even celebrities like Johnny Depp and Eddie Vedder joined the movement, demanding their release. After years of fighting, the state finally made an offer: an Alford plea, a legal loophole allowing them to plead guilty while still claiming innocence. They would be released, but the state would never have to admit it was wrong. In August 2011, after 18 years, the West Memphis Three walked out of prison. They were free men, but justice still denied. The real killer was never found, and the state still stands by its flawed verdicts. Damien Echols later said, "They didn't just steal our freedom, they stole our lives." The story of the West Memphis Three reminds us, when fear drives justice, truth becomes the victim. And sometimes being different is all it takes to be destroyed. If stories like this intrigues you, hit like, subscribe to True Crime Daily Buzz, where we don't just tell stories of crime, we tell the stories of a system that cries out for justice.